Kia ora, good evening. I'm Hannah Wilkins. The Dunedin City Council argued its case to the New Zealand government this week, saying it's not too late to rethink the planned Three Waters reforms. On Tuesday in Dunedin, City councillors took to the mic to voice their thoughts on the issue.
An overflow of stormwater, just one of many issues Dunedin City councillors believe the government's planned Three Waters reforms won't properly address. But they say it's not too late to change course on how water is delivered to communities and to explore other models which could actually work and save high costs in the future. The DCC finalised its submission on the Water Services Entities Amendment Bill this week.
We need to ensure that if we have to have a new water system, that it's so robust that it can't break down. And that's why, given this extremely short time to do this consultation, is very, very concerning.
The government's Three Waters reforms would set up new regional entities to manage New Zealand's drinking water, wastewater and stormwater services, rather than local councils. But the proposals have faced widespread backlash across the country, with city councillors here concerned about the lack of control over Dunedin's water assets.
To make it as clear as possible that we are being as loud as possible and as forceful as possible, and what the ramifications actually are if this were to go through.
DCC Infrastructure Services Committee Chairman Jim O'Malley was tasked with presenting the council's case this morning in Wellington before a parliamentary select committee. He's been a strong and vocal critic of the government's Three Waters plan, which he says is fundamentally flawed. In Dunedin, the South today.
Skyline Queenstown celebrated the end of the first stage of their $250,000 redevelopment. Members of the public jumped on board the new gondola cabins as the company was presented with a special award.
There was liftoff on Friday morning as Queenstown Skyline officially opened their new and improved gondola to the public. It's taken 2 months of solid work and years of planning, but with the cut of a ribbon, the much roomier new 10-seater cabin started to spin, sending its first load of people up the hill at 9 a.m. Skyline actually decided to open their new cable cars a day early with a soft launch on Thursday afternoon, giving eager passengers a sneak peek of the larger and quicker gondola.
And it's only through the dedication of the individuals that worked on this, finding workarounds and more efficient ways to do things, that they achieved what was a pretty tight schedule. We set a big challenge, and you've achieved it with a day to spare, I might add.
The new cabins is just one highlight of the $250 million redevelopment of the popular Queenstown attraction. And to mark the milestone, Doppelmayr New Zealand CEO Gareth Heyman presented the company with the Golden Bull Wheel to celebrate 35 years of success. The construction work isn't finished yet. The attraction's new base terminal and ticketing hall should be ready by October, with the new car park building due to open in March next year. In Queenstown, the South today.
A number of roads were closed after the first big snow dump of winter around the southern regions last weekend, causing roading chaos for some and a cool day out for others.
Heavy weekend snowfalls around the Dunedin area saw a number of roads closed on Sunday. That included the Northern Motorway, which resulted in major delays for many motorists. In the city, Stewart Street was also closed for part of the morning after the brakes on one car failed, leaving them stranded and blocking the road. The car was eventually towed away, allowing the road to be reopened to traffic. Many motorists who did venture out were seen struggling in the hill suburbs in the slippery conditions. Meanwhile, a number of homes around Otago lost power, adding to the very chilly day inside. The snowfall was particularly heavy in parts of West Otago and Southland, with more than 20 centimetres of snow in some places, while snow fell to sea level in Dunedin for the first time this year. But the weekend dumping was welcomed by many families and younger residents, who relished the chance to get outdoors on Sunday, taking advantage of the wintry weather with snowball fights and hill sledding. Central Otago was largely missed by the worst of the snow blanket, with the frosty blast set to continue across Otago and Southland this week. Across the South today.
There's a new step forward for low-income housing in Dunedin, with a development underway aimed at helping those in need. New apartments are being built beside Dunedin's waterfront, with an historic building being repurposed for the project. Turning a 19th century building into new housing for those in need.
This Dunedin heritage building is being redeveloped to include 30 basic but modern apartments. They'll be used to provide low-income tenants with somewhere to live, under a social housing program run by the Salvation Army. The development is being constructed in the Loan and Mercantile building in Dunedin's waterfront precinct. It has the backing of the Dunedin City Council, with Mayor Jules Raddick saying the city needs more warm, dry and affordable housing.
Everything contributes to the whole. So the more housing we have available, the better off we'll be to provide a home for everyone.
There are more than 400 people currently on the Dunedin Social Housing Register, and Salvation Army Dunedin Corps Officer David McEwen says that number is continuing to grow.
So it's going up very, very quickly. And we're hearing of people that are, mortgagee sales and that sort of thing, so that's bringing them into this sort of housing as well. So the need is growing.
The social housing units are expected to be leased to the Salvation Army for 15 years, with hope the development could be ready to welcome low-income tenants by the end of next year. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Whai Yakane still to come on Southern Newsweek. A long-awaited Dunedin walk and cycle loop is almost complete, accompanied by a stunning view. And a Southland swimmer sets his sights on another top medal after a record-breaking start to the year. Tēnā koe, welcome back. The completion of a 30-kilometre long asphalted path along Otago Harbour is only weeks away. The shared pathway will give both cyclists and walkers stunning views of the harbour, and advocates believe it could become a drawcard for tourists.
Nearing completion, Waka Kotahi New Zealand Land Transport has almost completed the last and most difficult part of the shared path cycle and walkway around Otago Harbour. The section between St Leonards and Port Chalmers has been tricky, with about 2.5 kilometres of railway track having to be shifted to make room for the pathway, adding to a price tag of about $40 million. Dunedin City Councillor Steve Walker, who is one of a small group of people who started campaigning for a separate cycle and walking path about 20 years ago. He's seen the asphalted path grow over the years, along with a similar pathway on the peninsula side of the harbour, which has been built by the Dunedin City Council. He says the ability to circle much of the scenic harbour on a bike will become a drawcard for cycle tourists from across the globe.
I think it's absolutely spectacular, actually. We will arguably have not only the best cycle walkway based in New Zealand, but probably actually one of the best in the world.
Providing an essential link for cyclists wishing to do a complete loop of the inner harbour is Rachel McGregor. Her harbour ferry is set up to take both bikes and riders across the water between Port Chalmers and Portobello.
I do see a lot more in the way of cyclists, and I also hear from people as well that are telling me that they will do the cycleway and they will cycle around when it's finished.
It takes about an hour and a half to cycle from Portobello to Dunedin and another hour and a half to Port Chalmers, allowing for photo stops and rests along the way. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Strong promise shown during a recreational swim helped set Southland's Joseph Koroyade on the lane to success. The 17-year-old broke a regional backstroke record earlier this year and will now line up against the top short course swimmers in the South Island.
In Invercargill's Joseph Koroyade is making waves. The 17-year-old's part of the Murihiku Swimming Club and is selected as one of 38 competitors to represent New Zealand in the Tri-Series swimming meet later this year. The competition takes place in Hawke's Bay in late September, where Koroyade will race against teams from Western Australia and Victoria State.
First it was like a shock. I was like, Australia representing New Zealand, that's pretty crazy, but yeah, really excited. Hope September comes around real soon.
Koroyade says he just loves to race, but also enjoys the community and friendships he's built through swimming. He's been training for 8 years after his mum signed him up to swimming lessons. Showing good potential, he was approached by Southland swim school coach Jeremy Duncan.
We sort of basically took him as a wee fella and now here he is as a young adult. So it's been nice to see him just improve and love his spend time on his craft, and he loves the sport, and he's got some really good friends.
Duncan believes Coriati's selection will also be an encouragement for other Southland swimmers.
I think it's really good for our younger kids to be able to see that, it is possible to do anything from Southland. Joe's one of many sort of kids along many years ago that we've had swim at that meet, so it's fantastic.
Coriati heads north this weekend to compete in the South Island Short Course Championships in Blenheim. In Invercargill, the South Today.
For most, an ice-cold swim in winter is the last thing on your mind. But for a few extreme athletes, they're looking forward to taking an icy plunge.
These brave souls are training to compete in a unique extreme sport event, ice swimming. The International Ice Swimming Association National Championship is set to go ahead in central Otago this weekend, being held in open water for the first time ever. Wanaka local Fiona Fairbairn is no stranger to swimming in the local lakes, but hopes the temperature isn't too icy when it comes to race day.
About maybe, if we're lucky, it might be up to 4 further out.
The Ice Swimming National Open Water Championships are being held at Blue Lake in St Bathans, with swimmers kicking into gear for the 4-day event on Friday. In St Bathans, the South Today.
New Zealand's oldest engineering firm has held an open day in Dunedin, celebrating a series of milestones. Farah Engineering took a trip down memory lane as they reflected on 160 years in business after delivering on one of their biggest ever projects to date.
A big day for a big project as Farah Engineering complete this massive piece of machinery. The Dunedin company held an open day to celebrate its 160th anniversary, which gave the opportunity to show off the biggest building maintenance unit the team have ever built. School students and other businesses came through their workshop with a display of images showcasing the company's achievements and growth over the decades.
Just the longevity of that and all the stories of the people who've contributed to that over so many generations is just a really special milestone to mark.
The BMU, created by Farah Engineering, is destined for Sydney. It'll be shipped over in 3 parts before being reassembled 170 metres above street level on Martin Place. The machine's total length is 50 metres, which could make it the biggest piece of linkage machinery in the world.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome being part of those special projects, as you see.
The Farah team plan to continue the company's 160th anniversary celebrations throughout the year. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Christchurch looks like the place to be if you're a Lego fan, with the recent opening of the South Island's first dedicated Lego shop and the popular Brick Show on this weekend. But it's not just for the kids. One of the show's exhibitors is a 72-year-old who only got into building Lego after he retired.
Selwyn resident David Littlefair admits to having a little bit of an obsession with Lego. The former chartered accountant took up the hobby 8 years ago, after retiring. He estimates he spent around $60,000 since then on the colourful plastic bricks. But he insists it's money well spent, and claims exercising his mind has led to a healthy body. Littlefair caught the Lego bug after attending the Christchurch Brick Show in 2015.
Saw what they could do with Lego, which I'd never thought about before, and then bought my first kit, which was just a little model city car, and then went from there, got into the technique and the creator models and the bigger ones that take a lot more time to do, and then into doing displays on my own models as well.
He says he likes the flexibility the toy plastic bricks offer, enabling him to add his own lighting and mechanics to come up with a unique creation. The retired 72-year-old is one of a host of exhibitors at this weekend's Christchurch Brick Show.
You're always crossing your fingers that all the models keep on working, because sometimes they don't. They can break down, of course.
This will be his 3rd year at the event, with his display having a Disney theme. He says it takes time getting all the mechanisms running smoothly and fine-tuning the overall design of the display. And he admits he has to keep an eye out for mischievous little fingers.
The track that the train goes on has a couple of points in there, and every now and again some of the children will lean over and change the points without me realising it, and then the train will go the wrong way and crash effectively, sort of thing. Or occasionally they'd put their hand over and knock Santa off the train or something like that, so they're the things you've got to watch out for.
The Christchurch Brick Show is on this weekend at Addington's Wolfbrook Arena. In Selwyn, the South Today.
E whai akane, still to come on Southern Newsweek. Some Otago University researchers are turning insects into tasty treats, including ice cream with a unique twist. And some Canterburyans celebrated their United States heritage in true American style. Tēnā koe, welcome back. Coronet Peak is getting ready to battle the elements as they prepare to combine fire with snow. The Queenstown ski field is set to host New Zealand's first ever torchlight descent, lighting up the night sky as skiers make their way down the mountain.
There will be a glow over these mountains above the Wakatipu Basin this weekend as the country's first torchlight descent lights up Coronet Peak. The inaugural fiery event is being organised by the Queenstown Alpine ski team and will see avid skiers and snowboarders riding down the slopes, lit only by a wax torch or a glow stick. Starting at 5 p.m. on Saturday, there will be 2 time slots for different skill levels, with the choreographed descent in between, featuring around 100 members of the Alpine ski team.
And so it's sort of for the lesser experienced skier or less confident skier. And then the 8 o'clock descent will come down the Pro-Am behind us. And then at 7 o'clock, so right in between the two, the Quast athletes will do a choreographed descent with the torches as well.
Lake says they're to raise $10,000 from the event to give back to the community, with the money helping fund ski passes and snow gear for local primary school children.
Quast has been a part of the community for quite a long time, and we know we've been given a lot back from the community, and so we thought this was a really wonderful opportunity for us to bring something to the community as well, to sort of give back for all the years of the community supporting us as a ski team.
The torchlight descent will cap off Coronet Peak's first week of night skiing, but Lake's optimistic Saturday night's descent will just be the start of a new regular activity in the region. In Queenstown, the South Today.
A group of Otago University researchers are hoping to take away the yuck factor from creepy crawly insects by using them to make ice cream. The new product is being put to the test at the International Science Festival with the goal of removing the stigma behind the nutritious bugs.
This may look just like a normal ice cream, but there's a massive twist. This frosty treat is infused with crickets. Researchers from Otago University have been looking into the nutritious value of different insects, drying the dead bugs and grinding them up into a powder. The team have focused on using crickets for their sweet treats. They say the small insects are full of a range of nutrients essential for our diets.
So the work we've done so far have shown that we can basically use insect material in ice cream as a product. So that's why we are testing it out during the science fair.
Members of the public will get to try out their new cricket ice cream at a special session as part of the New Zealand International Science Festival. The team are hoping to remove the stigma behind insect-based food products, although researchers admit the crickets themselves are something of an acquired taste.
Oh, they taste nice. I like them. Yeah, if for me, they taste, most of these insects taste like dried shrimp.
However, he insists scoops of this frozen insect dessert taste just like regular ice cream. People brave enough to try out the treat can check it out at the Edible Insects Trick or Treat event on Saturday. In Dunedin, the South Today.
With New Zealand being 16 to 18 hours ahead of the United States, we're one of the first places in the world to see July 4th, American Independence Day. So one Christchurch group decided to celebrate the US national holiday with a traditional hot dog eating competition.
These eager hot dog fans pushing themselves and their stomachs to the limit. A large crowd cheered on competitors on Tuesday night in the Mr. Wolf American hot dog eating competition. Up for grabs was the prestige of being crowned Christchurch's champion hot dog eater and a year's supply of hot dogs from the boutique champagne and gourmet hot dog bar. The fun event was held to celebrate July the 4th in the United States, American Independence Day.
Since we opened a hot dog bar, it's always been a running joke about how much I would love it because I'm the token American in the group. But once we started it, we just got this idea for 4th of July, Independence Day, letting all the Americans come in, have a hot dog eating contest, but also putting a spin on it to make it fun.
Competitors were given 5 minutes to eat as many American hot dogs as possible, with the top 5 going through to the final. There were a few different strategies on show. Some entrants opting for a slow and steady technique.
Slow and steady wins the race, you know. 1 every 40 seconds, get to 8. Just see how it goes.
But eventual winners Garrett Cummins and Jimmy Ward were among those who chose the fast, messy approach. The pair pretty happy with their eating efforts, between them demolishing 27 hot dogs in 10 minutes.
Preparation would have been 24 hours ago, and that was watching multiple YouTube videos. I think the strategy was eat the dog, dunk the bun, and that worked out all right.
Yeah, I feel bad for the ducks, you know, because wet bread is disgusting.
In true American fashion, organisers decided to supersize the grand prize, awarding both the first and second place winners free hot dogs for a year. But staff in the Mr. Wolf Bar admit their cultural loyalties change regularly, with the team already planning a celebration for France's Bastille Day on July the 14th. In Christchurch, the South today.
Children and families are being encouraged to touch the art at a recently opened show in Invercargill. Play features a range of interactive exhibits, including a light and shadow wall, a giant colouring competition and a matariki light installation.
It's a fair bit to get used to, a museum where touching the art is actually allowed. Play is an interactive experience opening at Invercargill's He Wakatuia Gallery. It's a long-awaited sequel to a similar exhibition last year, and is a joyful combination of colour, shapes, light and textures.
Yes, I'm extremely proud of it. We've worked really hard to put this all together. Love that it's bright and colourful, and that we've done a lot of our own work to put things together, like the chair over there.
This soft toy armchair is sure to draw many children over the exhibition period. The display also includes a coloured shadow room, a colouring in wall, and a giant twister board. The whole experience has been developed for tamariki, rangatahi and the young at heart, welcoming people of every age.
The point of this exhibition is to show that museums don't have to be like a don't touch, just look kind of space, but it can be somewhere where you can come in and actually interact with everything.
A selection of artworks from the Invercargill Public Art Gallery's collection are also on display, alongside musical artefacts borrowed from Te Hikoi Museum. The gallery says last year's display was the most popular exhibition they've staged, and they're hoping for a similar response this time around. The exhibition on Don Street opens to the public this weekend, and is set to run until the end of July. In Invercargill, the South today.
Young pupils from across central Otago skated their way to Alexandra to try their hand at curling. The annual primary school curling tournament is a way to get the younger generation involved in the sport through some friendly competition.
Just a stone's throw away, these central Otago schools travelling to Alexandra to join in the region's primary school curling competition. Year 7 and 8 pupils competed in teams of 4, playing a modified version of the game with simpler rules, but using skills learnt from local veteran players.
It's really just an opportunity for them to get the basics of the game underway, and they love it.
The annual event's been running for a decade and a half. There was blue skies and sun for the tournament, a relief for organisers, after fog was rolling through the outdoor rink earlier in the day.
Yeah, we've managed every year except for one cancellation with weather, so being an outdoor rink we can't really control that, but we're normally pretty lucky here with the weather.
16 teams from across the region competed at the Ice and Line Sports Complex, leaving with a new set of skills in a new sport that some may brush up on in the future. In Alexandra, the South today.
That wraps up this edition of Southern Newsweek. For the latest news and videos from the Southern region, head online to odt.co.nz, and you can follow Channel 39 on YouTube and the South Today NZ on Facebook to catch our news bulletins on demand. We'll see you again next week. Mā te wā.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.